Hi, hello, welcome back to Shelabobby Handmade. My name is Caitlin. You can find me on the internet just about anywhere as Shelabobby. And I am in a new place. I'm in a car with...
Hello.
My mom. We are at a Sheetz somewhere outside of Raleigh. And we are on our way to Fletcher, North Carolina to go to SAFF, Southeastern Animal Fiber Festival. So I thought I'd take you guys along with me. And with mom.
Let's go.
Let's go. Alright, so you just saw an intro from me and my mom in the car, and our absolute intention was to vlog a little bit during the event that weekend and what we got up to. But we're new to this. I'm new to this, and so I recorded some B-roll, which you will see while I am talking. We're kind of gonna do this as more of like a recap, reflection, what happened. So that's the plan. I'm gonna talk about my experience that I had at SAFF and also show you a lot of goodies that I purchased. So first off, I apologize. I may sound a little bit sick. I did either pick up a cold from SAFF or from, you know, the world outside. So I am still recovering from that, and so there may be a lot more cuts in this video than my videos typically have, because I will be stopping to cough, drink water, clear my throat, that sort of thing. So I apologize if that's a little annoying that there's a lot of cuts, but oh well. I didn't want to wait too long to record this because I wanted to share my experience so that those who are looking to see what happened at SAFF and that sort of thing will have that information. So, to get started. So you saw that we left on Friday, the 20th, which is the day after my birthday, and we traveled up to Fletcher, North Carolina. SAFF is the Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair. I was calling it the festival. It is actually a fair, and it is in Fletcher, North Carolina. So first I'll tell you a little bit about SAFF itself. So it is a fiber fair that is in Fletcher, North Carolina. I'm gonna say the mountains. I'm from the coast, so any elevation is mountains to me. But yes, it is up in the mountains, crisp, clean air. It's beautiful up there, and it is held on, I believe it's the like agricultural convention area that has several like stable buildings, like buildings that aren't put up and down. There are barns there, many different arenas that are built specifically for animals and those types of events. It is a fiber festival or fiber fair that focuses a lot on the vendors, so vending of fibers, yarn, notions. There was a lot of crafty things as well that I'll get into, and then there's also an animal showcase. They have judging on different types of goats and sheep and all that fun stuff. There was also a sheepdog, what do you call it? Like a sheepdog demonstration. There we go. There's a sheepdog demonstration that we did not attend but did occur both on Saturday and Sunday morning. And there were quite a bit of workshops and classes and things like that that occurred over the weekend as well. So before we get into the fun activities of the weekend, I do want to talk about accessibility inside of the event itself. I know that that is something that we should all pay attention to and make sure that I myself was nervous about the venue and how accessible it would be. As far as driving to, I am a nervous person and like to know like the parking situation and like how the vendors are set up, how the buildings are set up. Is it walkable? You know, do you need to move your car back and forth? How these buildings are laid out and that sort of thing. So I do want to touch on accessibility as well, as far as people who would need to use mobility aids or who have limited mobility and maybe need some assistance or need to know exactly what's going on. So I do have a map here, and I think what I'll do is I'll pop the map up on the screen, but if I'm looking down, I'm looking at the map inside of the informational book. So there are some areas that I did not access, and so I cannot speak on the accessibility of those specific buildings, but I will speak on the ones that I did experience. So the ones that I cannot speak on is the Boone building, which was the workshop area. I didn't have a workshop, and so I had no business being in there, so I did not enter that building. But as far as I could tell, just like the other areas, the parking is very accessible throughout the entire event. Each building has its own parking lot and has handicap spaces and ample parking for everyone. And even if it was a very busy time, me and Mom did not have a problem parking pretty close. But if it was a very busy time, you could also, there's plenty of space to drop off someone at the door of a building, and then they go and park. So as far as parking goes and accessibility to parking, 100% beautiful. The Boone building did have ample parking space, like I said, had handicap parking spaces, and as far as I could tell, would be accessible by any mobility aids such as walkers or wheelchairs. So I think that's perfectly fine, but again, I did not go in the building, so I cannot speak on the actual workshop area. The next building is the Davis Arena, which is the main vending area of the show. So in here is where all of the vendors, it's the largest one, has most of the vendors in there, and it was very accessible again by parking. The entrances had plenty of space for anyone who was using mobility aids, quite easy to navigate inside of it as well. So again, I think that particular building as well would be very accessible to anybody. The actual booths, it's hit or miss. Depends on the space that's available for that booth and how the vendor's set up. But majority of the vendors, like the larger vendors inside of the vending area, had space for any mobility aids. I saw several people in wheelchairs and using walkers and that sort of thing, and they were able to navigate around. Some of the smaller ones, there may be an issue going in and out if other people were in there, but again, that's a limited space. It's very small booths if they only purchased one, and so they just don't have enough space to make sure that it is 100% accessible. But like I said, if no one was in any of those booths, then plenty of space. Inside that building, they also had the main, which I would call the main eating area. And it was like a little cafe type thing. They had burgers, chicken. Me and Mom got nachos and mozzarella sticks. They had french fries, plenty of drinks. So that area is also accessible for anyone, I believe. Plenty of places to eat and rest. Around the area of the Davis Arena, there was also plenty of seating spaces, chairs, and resting areas around the external wall, I should say. Outside, there was also plenty of benches and places to rest as well. So the next building is the Expo building, which is the smaller vending area that also has workshops. This building also has accessibility into the front door. There's plenty of parking, easily accessible by mobility aids. Going into the building, again, it's the same thing with the vendors. There's plenty of space in there, but again, some of the spaces are very small, and so if there was anybody in there, you may need to wait to enter the booth. The workshops were around the exterior wall of the building, and as far as I could tell from those, they were very accessible as well, but I didn't enter any of them because I did not have a workshop. There's also a food vendor inside of that building as well, but it seemed like a smaller, like get a drink, maybe a coffee. In the morning they had bagels, I think, that were available to grab, chips, that sort of thing, little snacks. And this building was a little bit more spread out, in my opinion. There was a lot more space and areas there. I should also mention that each of the main buildings have their own bathrooms. And so I didn't enter all of those bathrooms, but I did take note that each one had an indoor bathroom and seemed to be accessible from what I could tell. So that is looking at the map, that is the left side of the map. Again, plenty of parking, plenty of space. The area between the vending and the animals, there was quite a hill. Me and Mom did walk that hill to get to the next building, and I would say that that may be a little bit difficult if you have limited mobility or need the use of mobility aids. And so I would recommend moving your vehicle in that case to avoid that hill, because going up was quite hard on our knees, and coming down was a little bit difficult as well. So I would recommend, if needed, to move your vehicle to the other parking, which was completely empty when we were over there. I have a little bit of video of that. So it was a large parking spot, and there was very few people in that parking area. But again, each building had a handicap spot and plenty of accessibility. So the other building that I did not enter was the covered arena, so I cannot speak on the accessibility to that building. I actually did not even see it, so cannot tell you where that one is in reference to the other ones. It seems like it was behind the sheep, the Mago arena. So I cannot speak too much on that. I did see it from the outside, and it seemed like it was more of an outdoor arena, grassy area, so that one may not be accessible, but not sure. And so the next one that we went into was the sales arena, which is where they had the Angora goats and Pygora goats. I guess Pygora goats. I've never heard that word before. Anyway, that's where they had the goats. This building, while it is accessible as far as there are plenty of parking spaces and that sort of thing, the actual place where the goats were may not be the most accessible. So keep that in mind for this particular building. I did notice that they had, when we went through to look at the goats in their little pens, is there was an open side to the building, so it's possible that you could, if you needed mobility aids, to go around the side of the building and enter there. But there's actually an arena where they were doing the judging, and that was not accessible at all, in my opinion. If you needed mobility aids or had limited mobility, you had to climb upstairs, and it was a very tight walk space. So this is the only building that I would say may not be fully accessible, in my opinion, so just keep that in mind. But there were the goats there, and like I said, there was an outside entrance to that I think would be a little bit more accessible. But if you wanted to see the judging and that sort of thing, you wouldn't be able to see that as easily. The last building is the Mago Arena, and that is where the fleece sale was and the sheep show. There was also food in this building, which was very similar to the food inside of the Davis Arena, the main arena, but there was not as much space to eat and that sort of thing. But you could walk up there and get a drink and food from there. We did get a drink from there. So this one, again, there is some accessibility issues as well. In this building, it's like a arena, yeah, where it goes down and there's seating down to the bottom, and at the bottom is where they kept the sheeps in their pen. So at the top, it went around in a giant circle, and they actually had the fleece sale up there. So if you were wanting to attend the fleece sale and buy a fleece, that was pretty accessible if you had mobility aids. However, if you wanted to go down and look at the sheep, I did not see a way to go down there. I didn't see an elevator or any type of ramp that would allow for mobility aids or limited mobility. You had to go down the stairs. So again, that one is unfortunately not accessible as well. So vendors, buying, purchasing, that sort of thing, very accessible. I don't see any issues there. However, on the animal side of the show, it is not as accessible, unfortunately. I think if they had some ramps or elevators or some type of way for those with mobility aids and limited mobility to be able to go up and down and be able to see the sheep, that would be amazing. So that is touching on the accessibility and the actual area. So I was pretty nervous because I'm a person who likes to know what things are looking like and how things are accessed, where you park, where you go, how you open the doors, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that helps in the future, that if you are worried about certain accessibility issues with this particular event, hopefully that helps in the future. So if it's held at this agricultural convention center, then those are the thoughts that I have on accessibility. So now I'll talk about what we got up to, my experience, what we did, what I bought, all those sort of things. So the first day that we got there on Friday, we arrived in Fletcher about 4 p.m. We got into quite a bit of traffic as far as there was a couple of accidents, and so it delayed our time a little bit. So we got there at 4, and we decided to go straight to the convention center and go ahead and take a look around just so that we could see what to expect the next day. We went to the Davis Arena, which is the main vending area, and went in what I would consider the back door. I think they intend you to go on the other side of the building, the one that is facing the expo building, but we went on the other side. There's multiple entrances for this building, and went in, did a little bit of shopping, just looked around, probably went through maybe a third of the vendors. And on that particular day, I did make a purchase, so I will show you that in a little bit. And then we went back to the motel. We were very tired. We were lucky enough to get a motel that was only probably less than 5 minutes from the convention center. So the travel time was beautiful. No major traffic, easy to get in and out of. It was beautiful. So we went back to the motel, and we actually ordered DoorDash for Chili's, ate that, took our showers, and went to bed pretty early because we were exhausted. We found out that our motel did have free breakfast, which we were not expecting, and so woke up the next morning, plenty of time to grab some breakfast and head over to the event. We got there, got beautiful parking. It was probably 5 minutes after opening. We hopped into the expo building and began shopping. We have a usual plan where you go down one side, back up the other, and just go down the aisles like that. So we started walking down the vending aisles. And if you have ever been to a fiber fair or any type of festival inside of an expo building, or any type of like craft fair, and it's in a building, they usually have the aisles, and you have 2 sides, and you just walk down one, come back down the other. Fairly simple. We shopped in there until about 11 o'clock, and then we headed over to the Davis Arena and grabbed some lunch before the lunch crowd came in, grabbed our lunch, and then headed over to see the animals. I will be honest, I have much more footage of the animals than I do of the vendors. When I was looking at the vendors, I was shopping. I was not paying attention to what videos I needed to make, what needed to be shown. So I am very sorry I do not have a lot of footage from the actual vendors, but please enjoy the many videos of the goats and sheep, because they were adorable and I booped all of them on the noses. So after we ate, we headed over to the sales arena to take a look at the Angora goats and Pygora goats, which I did not notice was inside of there as well. I thought they were all Angora. They were actually doing a judging, and so we sat down for just a moment to see who would win that, and then we headed into the barn area where they had the pens and took a look at the goats, and petted all of them, booped them on the nose, talked to all of them. after that, we headed across the parking lot to the Mago Arena. Also booped all the sheep on the nose, took a look at all of them. They were very vocal over there in the sheep pens, and then we headed up to the fleece sale and took a look at the fleeces that were available. There seemed to be quite a few there. It was around noon, and so I'm not sure if they had more tables or things like that, but it seemed like there was plenty left at that time, and this was on Saturday. I think I should have mentioned that. And then we grabbed a drink and then headed back over to the Davis Arena where we did the rest of our shopping. We finished there around 4 p.m., headed to Cracker Barrel to grab some dinner, back to the motel, took a shower, went to bed. Unfortunately, woke up Sunday morning not feeling the best, and then headed home. So that was my lovely experience at SAFF, and I look forward to going back to SAFF next year if they have it. So just wanted to show off the guide in here, which has the times and dates and the logo. It looks like they have a competition each year, maybe with the local schools, where students will draw the logo. I'm not sure if it's just students or if adults apply for it as well, but each year they have a different logo that is part of a competition. Inside of it you have advertisements for some of the vendors that probably sponsored, some information about the Fiber Fair, the sponsors that are there, maps. This is the map of the main Davis Arena, I believe. And then they have all of the vendors listed with their locations. And there's the other building, a list of all of the workshops, where they're located and their times. So looks like, oh, here's the runner-up logo that they had for this year as well. And it looks like they are having SAFF next year, because it says mark your calendars. So sweet, plan to go back there. They also have a place here in the back for you to write notes. So that is my experience with SAFF and what we did and what we saw. And so now I will show you what I purchased. So there's quite a bit here, but I am excited about every single one of these purchases and have plans for all of them, and I am very excited. So the first thing that I purchased, and I'm not going to remember in what order I purchased things, but I do know that this is what I purchased on Friday. This is a project bag by, let me see if I can pronounce this, Allegheny Fiber Arts from Bradford, PA. There's their label. And this is a quite large project bag. And of course it has bunnies with rain boots and umbrellas, and it's adorable. And inside of it, she showed me this, that she always had her projects get tangled. You know, if you have a lot of either multiple balls attached to a project, or just in general, like the project will get mixed up a lot with the loose balls. And so inside of the bag, she actually has a center divider that's actually a pocket. So there's a zipper there, an internal pocket. And so she would say she would put her work on one side and then the balls of yarn on the other side, and that kept it nice and tangle free. So I picked up this bag thinking of the same thing, that having either multiple projects in one bag or keeping my projects separate from the balls of yarn. So that was my first purchase and my only purchase of a project bag that I did. Mom did purchase a couple of project bags for Christmas, so looking forward to getting those at Christmas time and using those. So now I do not know the order of the rest of these, so I'm just going to pick up and show you what I got. There was a store that had quite a bit of fiber, and I did purchase some fiber, but I am new to spinning, and so that was not my main focus. But this shop had a pretty good sale on some buttons and just smaller notions. So I did pick up this pair of scissors from that shop, as well as some wooden buttons. I think she had them for like $1 for 5 buttons. They're just simple wooden buttons, but they are printed on the front. And so I picked out 5 different buttons to use on a sweater one day. Oops. And the last one. Oops. Throw in the buttons. There we go. All right, so that was the items that I purchased from that shop. So just a little bit of notions. And I think I'll go through notions first, so we'll just kind of skip around. The next thing I purchased was from Whimsy Stitches Designs. Hopefully you'll be able to see that through the packaging. But it is a little rainbow progress keeper on a lever back. So I picked that up. And then from Behind the Pines, I picked up this set of, I think they call them granite stitch markers. And then one of the shops that we went in had this little mystery progress keeper package. Excuse the rattling. And inside of there, it just had some Halloween progress keepers. Let's see if I can use my hand to show this off. This one's a tree with some tombstones, and it's like a wooden engraved progress keeper. This one's a stitch marker with bats and a moon. And then they had some acrylic ones, which this one is a pumpkin. This one is an owl. And then my glow in the dark one was an acrylic ghosty. There we go. So that's what I got in the mystery pack. Another tool that I got, I think it was from Snyder Spindles, was this 3D printed Nitty Knotty, which I have already used to prepare for an Advent swap that I'm doing. But it is just a 3D printed Nitty Knotty. And it has worked beautifully. The only thing I need to figure out, and I've been trying to find some information on them, I may reach out to them and ask them, is it's a little bit difficult to get the yarn off of the Nitty Knotty, because usually a Nitty Knotty may twist so that you can get the yarn off, or collapse a little bit so you can get it off. I've tried to hold it open, so I'm not sure if maybe I should put a pin or something in there to keep it open, or what exactly the plan will be there. But so far it has worked amazing. The next thing I got is I found a little pack of soak that has 5 little packets in there, which is perfect for the holidays to pop this in with handmade gifts so that they can wash their gifts as it comes along. So just picked up a pack of the soak samples. Sorry if it looks like my eyes are watering, had a little bit of a coughing fit there, but I'm all good. All right, so the last little bit of non-yarny goodness is I did pick up a mug that has a little Angora bunny on it from the SAFF information desk, where they have a whole bunch of goodies directly related. Me and Mom got matching cups. She got the blue one and I got the pink one. So now that I have shown this to you, I will wash it and we will have coffee in that in the morning. I also picked up this little fluffy bunny. And she took the tag off of him when I purchased him. So I do not know the maker of this, but it is made out of alpaca fluff wool. And so he's so fluffy. And I have a bigger one from a very similar company, if not the same, that I picked up in March. And so he will go and sit on my shelf and be a cute little decoration of fluff. So purchased him. So now we'll go into the fiber that I purchased. And like I said, I am not a big spinner yet. I've just started learning, but I did make 2 purchases of fiber. So the first purchase, I'm going to slide this out of the plastic bag, was this bat of 100% alpaca. And every time that I go to a fiber festival, the alpaca yarn, the alpaca fiber is so soft. It reminds me of Charlie, my little rabbit, and it is just so squishy and delightful. And so this particular lady, here's her card. She said that they no longer have their alpaca farm and they're no longer milling and that sort of thing. So they're just kind of selling off the roving and yarns that they have in stock. And so it was a fairly affordable price. And so I got it to maybe spin in the future. Otherwise, just to feel and squish. It's also beautiful for decoration and stuff like that. So one day I may spin it as I get a little bit more experience in spinning. But yes, it is 100% gray alpaca grade 1, which I'm not sure what that means. 4.3 ounces, and it was from the alpaca named Templar. So that was the information from that particular roving. Now, if you are Melissa and you are watching this and I have not given you your birthday gift, do not look. Skip ahead. Come back to this another day whenever I can see you. I was supposed to give it to you today, but was not feeling 100%, so did not go to the yarn shop. But me and Melissa share a birthday, and I wanted to pick something up for her, and I saw this roving and thought that needs to go to Melissa. So this is by Create Yarn Works, and it is 100% blue faced Leicester. It is 4 ounces of roving, and it is called Purples. And it is squishy, and she has mentioned before that she loves BFL, and so I don't know much about roving BFL or spinning it, but this one just screamed Melissa, and so this is for our birthday that I purchased you this. So you will see that the next time I see you. So if you looked at this, then surprise. So that's all of the roving fiber that I got. So now we just have yarns. So let's take a look at what I got. The first thing I got was this little bundle of fall minis. And you can make your own bundle of 6. And they were not sure exactly how much these weighed. The owner of the shop had walked away, so they were not exactly sure. But to me, they looked like a lot less than 10 grams, maybe like 4 or 5. And so or maybe even 2, I have not weighed them yet. So I just grabbed 2 to make sure that I could add it into one of my scrappy blankets. But I grabbed a dark purple, a dark red, and this beautiful fall orange. They were doing these bundles for Tiny Tassels Shawlette. It was a shawlette that had little tiny tassels on the end of it, and these were what you were supposed to purchase to make the tiny tassels. You would need one of each color to make the tassels, but I wanted them for blankets. So, little tiny bundles. The next one is this beautiful yarn from Alk and Me. It is 78% superwash fine merino, 20% nylon, and 2% sparkle AU. So I'm not sure what the sparkle is, but it is a pink, peach, purple, with a whole bunch of sparkles. It is called Prima. I think that's how you would say that. And it was just calling to me. I don't know why. Very bright colors and sparkly yarns were what called to me the most at this festival. So I gave in a little bit and purchased some of that because normally I'm not a sparkly bright person, but this color wanted to be socks, and so I picked that up. The next one is not bright and shiny and sparkly, but I got 2 skeins of this woolly yak, which is 20% yak, 70% superwash merino, and 10% nylon. And I grabbed them because yak is my favorite sock base right now. I've been purchasing it from Long Dog Yarn, and I do not know how to pronounce this company name, so I will not even attempt to do so. I will just show it to you. And it is a teal and a dark gray. This one's called Totally Teal, and this one is called Charcoal Dust, and it is on the woolly yak base. These will become stripy socks. I'll probably make several pair of stripy socks or solid socks, or do one solid color this, one solid color that, alternating the heels and cuffs and toes for them in the different colors for me and my sister. And so, yeah, future socks. The next one is Leading Men Fiber Arts. They were there in person, which was pretty exciting because I've been watching them on the Nitty Natty podcast when they did a shop tour there. So I met them, and then I picked up this mini because it was so bright and happy. So this mini is called Carnival, and it is on their Showstopper base, which is 75/25, and I think I said it was Carnival, so just a bright little mini to add into my blanket. And then I also got on their Showstopper base this beautiful color, like a dusty purple with red speckles, some darker speckles on this side. And this is called He Will Have His Revenge, which I'm sure is a reference to something, but it is beyond my knowledge. And again, this is in the Showstopper base, which is 75/25. And it is fingering weight, so this will become socks. The next one I got was from Polymorph Dye Works, and this one is on their Super Sock, which is 75/25 in the colorway Rainbow Bright. So it is very bright and happy, and I cannot wait to make these into socks as well. So I have, like I said, I've been into the bright colors. My current sock, which you will see in the podcast, which I will record tomorrow and you'll see next week, is the bright orange one that I got from Glow Fiber. And so bright colors are really what I gravitate towards right now for socks. So picked up that one, and then I think this is my last one. So the next one I went to, sorry for the crinkling, I got a mini set and a couple skeins of yarn from Jim's Luxe Fiber. This is the Luxe Sock Minis, which is the 75/25 base. And this is the Chimera collection, which now that I look at it really matches this Carnival mini that I purchased from Leading Men Fiber Arts. But it is just some bright rainbowy speckly minis. This is Venomous, Lioness, Chimera, Devious Doe. I think the E's are a little bit weird on this font for me, and Noble Offspring. So these will go into my scrappy blanket, but those bright colors were just happy, and so picked up that. And then the last thing is, if you saw, I think it was my last podcast where I was talking about the Asteroid City collection, the set that I got from Long Dog Yarn. I wanted to get some yarn to go with it to make a cardigan or a sweater. And so I took a little sample of some gray yarn that I thought would look very nice with them and matched it up with this. This is showing to me a little bit pink, maybe yellow, a little warmer than it is in person, but this is from the same Gems Luxe Fibers in their Fab Sock, which is 75/25, and this is the colorway Gypsum. They are currently redoing their stock as far as what bases they carry, and so this is one that they are getting rid of or swapping out for another one, I believe, and so this was on a sale, but they still have this colorway in their new base and it looks just as great. But this matched pretty great with the Asteroid City yarns, and so this is now a complete sweater quantity and ready to be knit. Alright, so that was my SAFF experience and all of my acquisitions that I purchased. So I'm ready to add this into my stash and maybe wind up some of them to begin making things. Alright, I'm going to take a break from coughing because as you can see, I just had another coughing fit. So I'm going to go drink some fluids, take a little bit of rest, and get this edited for you guys. So thank you for watching. If you have not already, please subscribe, hit the like button to let me know that you enjoyed this video and like to see more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.